while we are waiting ของคุณพรนะคะจะเป็นการเดโมถ้าพาร์ทไหนมีคำถามยกมือเลยนะคะเพราะว่านี่จะเป็นไลฟ์นะคะเราต่อเชื่อมเน็ตโดยตรงเลยนะคะ
So the first thing, I just wanted to spend a little bit of time just showing you a few of the things about the Creative Cloud that you won't have seen before. Obviously you've seen, CS6, so you know about that. So I want to show you the stuff that's in addition and new that we've added since we launched the cloud. Some of the things I was talking about. But I just wanted to show you first of all what the cloud looks like as far as Adobe is concerned. And this is it. This is my account that we're sitting inside of now. And you'll notice that just sitting inside this page, I'm currently looking at the Apps tab. And this gives me the ability with all of the creative applications. So this is all of CS6 as well as things like Acrobat 11 Pro, the Creative Cloud connection, I've got Adobe Muse. So these are all additional things as well as CS6. And if I just want to, when I subscribe and I sign into the Creative Cloud, all I need to do is just come in here, I want Photoshop, I click download, there it is on my desktop and I start working. That's all I need to do to start using the apps. And I can choose which of these apps I want to use at any time. As well as these traditional creative tools that we've got, we've also added all of these, the Edge tools and services. As I said before, these are my favourite. I'm going to show you a few of those in a little while as well, just very quickly. Also got access now to Business Catalyst, so you've got 5 free sites with that. The digital publishing single edition inside there as well, Story Plus, and also integration with the Touch apps. That's what the apps page looks like. But also in here, if I click on Files, you'll notice that I then jump to the part of the Creative Cloud of remember this is mine, and these are the folders that have my files in them that I've synced up to the Creative Cloud. So I can sort of jump into any of these folders, and I've got different files. In fact, I haven't put any in that folder. Good one to show. But basically these are where all of my files are living. How do I get them to be there? I can either come into this web browser, just a normal web browser, and just upload. I can add folders, I can add subfolders, I can add files and sync them all up there. Or if I want to, I can just come onto my computer and you'll see that because I've added the Creative Cloud connection, I now have this little icon up in my menu bar here. If I roll over it, click on it, there you go, that probably makes more sense. So this is my access to my Creative Files folder, the Creative Cloud website that I just showed you. If I want to go to the Creative Cloud folder, you'll notice that on my computer now, I've got sitting in here, this folder lives on my computer. It's all of my Creative Cloud files. And if I zoom up here, this is that same set of files that I had up there that I'm syncing. The question then comes, do I need to work on files in the cloud all the time? Do I need to sync all of my files? No. You download the software to your computer exactly the same way you have in the past. No difference. The software runs on your machine. When I'm working on a file, I just work on those files in exactly the same way I've worked on them in the past. If I've got a 4 gigabyte Photoshop file for the huge banner that's out on the street behind, I don't have to work on that off the cloud. That's just crazy. I work on that on my machine the same way I did in the past. And if I want to share that file with someone that I'm working with a customer, with a client, I can then share that file and sync it to the Creative Cloud if I want to. So it's up to you. The Creative Cloud is there for syncing and sharing files if you want it. Otherwise, you just continue working on the desktop exactly as you have before. I'm going to jump back into that cloud window again and just show you the last tab up here that I didn't show you before, this training tab. And when I click on the training tab, where it jumps over, you'll notice that inside here, huge amount of videos, tutorials in here. And each of these rows, by the way, is not just one row. There's like a whole bunch of videos on each of these, different rows. If I click through, there's a whole bunch in each of these, all different topics and material. We're adding to these all the time. Some of these are absolutely exclusive to the Creative Cloud members, and we're adding to those very, very quickly, adding a lot more content there to teach our users how to use the updates and the changes that we're making in the Creative Cloud. Speaking of which, I want to now show you just a few of the things. I just want to run through really quickly some of the things that we've added to Creative Cloud that aren't in CS6 or in fact aren't available to our customers in any other way but the Creative Cloud. Do you want me to pause there, or are you happy I keep going? Keep going? Okay, cool.
อันนี้โอเคใช่ไหมคะก็สิ่งที่จะพูดคือสิ่งที่คุณวิกกี้พูดไปแล้วนะคะพูดก็เห็น
Cool. Okay, I'm going to rush ahead. So I'm just going to show you just like a handful, just a few of the features of the dozens that we've stuck up there. So let's have a look. So first of all, I'm in Photoshop here, and I'm going to open up an image. Just any image. Open it up. Double click. Come on. Open up. Okay, there we go. And I'll just zoom in a bit. This no particular photo I've just picked. This is one of some fashion models in some material that we were using for Creative Suite 6, CS6. Now in the past, if I wanted to apply filters to this image, something like maybe some of the blur filters or maybe the liquefy filter, the moment I apply that filter to that image, it's destructive. In other words, it changes the image. If I want to go back and undo that, I have to open up the original image again and start again. But what we've done now inside Photoshop, we've added a feature that enables me with a whole range more filters now to be able to just select, that particular layer, convert it to a smart object. Now we've had smart objects before, but what we've added is a whole range more filters that work now under smart objects. So if I go convert to a smart object, I come to something like, maybe I could choose one of the blur effects. I might choose liquefy. Liquefy is a tool a lot of fashion designers use, or people who are designing for fashion magazines for bad reasons sometimes. They make models appear maybe more attractive than they necessarily were. They can do things like, and I'm not going to try and do any fashion, but you can sort of come in and start to manipulate the image, and that's a bad change, by the way. I'm not suggesting that's what you would do. I'm just showing you, like, okay, I'll do something really bad. But then when I click OK, in the past, that change is made. If I wanted to undo that change, I had to open the original photographer's file again and start work again. Now all I need to do, you'll notice that down here now underneath my thing, it's a smart filter, and it's liquefies here. I can turn that on and off and turn it back on. But if I want to change it, I can just double click on it and I'm back in liquefy, back making the same changes and adjusting and working on them that I was before. So basically now, a whole range more filters that are available under Smart Object and in non-destructive filters that I can add. Let's not save that because that's just silly. Let me show you a few other things on here that I think are sort of cool. This is not necessarily, well, this is an addition to an old feature. In the past, in Photoshop, we've had these things called actions. Actions are everything you do in Photoshop. You can record it and you can play it back on another image. So I can make all these changes and then save those actions, that series of steps, and then play them back on another file. What we've added to that now is conditional actions. So I can write an action now that says, if the image is, this resolution, do this. However, if it's this resolution, do this. Or anything about that image. So I can start to make decisions about if it's this, do this, if it's that, do this sort of thing. They're called conditional actions. Let me show you an example. So this is just one example. If I open up my actions folder here, open up my actions folder here, you'll notice that I've added this action in here called watermark if, and sitting underneath here I've got an if statement, an if-else statement. If it's this, do this, if it's something else. What I'm going to do is select all of these images that I've got sitting down here in MiniBridge. Let's select all of those. I'm going to control-click, go to Photoshop, and I'm going to batch process those images. And instead of the default actions, I'm going to choose that one that I just showed you, the watermark one, and I'm going to choose the watermark if statement. What this watermark if statement, and I'll just start running it and I'll tell you what it does. Bang. What it's doing now is it's batching through all of those images, and it says if the image is portrait, then put the watermark here. If it's landscape, put it down here. So it's making intelligent decisions about that image as to where to put the watermark. That's just one example. You could use any example, to do it. But you'll notice as I flick through these now, it's in the bottom left, the top right, the top right, the top right. It's made that decision as to where to put the watermark based on the actions that I just gave it. And I'm going to close these up. Let me see if I can show you something a little bit more exciting. Sorry, it takes me a moment to close.
อันนี้ทันไหมคะเรื่อง watermark เห็นชัดไหมคะมันจะไปเลือกว่าถ้ามี image อยู่มันก็ไม่ watermark ตรงนั้นมันเปลี่ยนที่เองโดยอัตโนมัติ
So that one really, yeah, that one really is. It's not so much about those particular things, that action that I did, but the fact that I can make conditional actions for all sorts of different things based on an image. This next one, I think you're going to really like. This is the one that blows people away. Let me explain. We've realised that so many web designers use Photoshop to design their websites. In the past, has it been the best tool to do it? I don't know, but they do it. They do it. The vast majority of web designers use Photoshop to design web pages. So they do this sort of thing. Here's a typical page that a web designer might design inside Photoshop. They take it, they maybe convert it to a JPEG or a PNG. They send it off to the client. The client goes, yep, love it, perfect, make my website. So the designer takes the Photoshop file and hands it to the web developer, who goes, how do I take a Photoshop file and convert it to HTML and CSS? It's a nightmare. That's crazy. And there's this constant battle between designers and developers, where designers go, "I just make it like I designed it," and the developer go, "It's how? Like it's crazy." So what we thought that it would be really handy would be to add this feature that I'll show you now. So I'm going to open up, in order to show you this, I'm going to open up one of the Edge tools that I talked about previously. And the Edge tool that I'm going to open up to show you is one called Edge Code. You'll see down the bottom down here, Edge Code. Edge Code is still in preview. It's not the final release 1.0 yet. But